Well, welcome everyone. Thank you for coming out. You guys sound amazing. Let's give it up for the band as well. Yes, I don't know if you guys noticed, we also have a new setup here. So I don't know, what do you guys think about this? Yeah, thanks to our setup team also for coming out here early and setting this up for us. So we really appreciate that. Well, again, welcome. If you're new or visiting, welcome to North Rock. We want to let you know that this service is our gift to you. All that we ask is that you take that connection card in your tray, you fill it out, give us your information. That'll allow us to get some information back into your hands, just to let you know a little bit more about our church. It'll give us an opportunity to connect with you as well. And so actually, we're going to be starting our small groups, our fall semester small groups coming up here shortly. We would have had a slide for it. I think we might be having some difficulties, but no worries. Small groups will be starting October 7th. So we have some information out in the lobby. As you leave service today, you can go out there. You can sign up for it. We'll let you know what kind of opportunities we have, and we can get you started in a small group starting October 7th. For all other news, we're going to have a thing called North Rock News. So before we do that, why don't you guys go ahead and greet someone? Thank you.
Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to North Rock Church. We're so excited to have you here today. My name is Michaela, and this is North Rock News, where we're going to get you connected with everything going on around here at North Rock Church. If you're new with us today, we just want to let you know that this service is our gift to you, and we want you to feel as comfortable and amazing as possible. For us, church is so much more than just a Sunday service, and we want you to know that there's a place perfect for you here at North Rock Church. One of the best ways that you can get connected with us is by going onto our website at www.northrock.tv. There on our main page, you're going to see a button called Welcome Card, where you can fill out your information, and we can get some information back to you on who we are as a church, what we believe, and how we can get you connected. This is also going to help us learn how we can serve you best, so we would really appreciate it if you fill out your information. And again, we just want to thank you for being here today. Friends, with the Power of One series, we are learning about the power that we have within ourselves through Jesus and the power that we have as one church, one community. And we are so excited for this series because it's leading up to our Jackson launch starting next weekend. And we just want to let you know that if you're planning on coming to our Jackson launch next weekend at our Jackson campus, that we only have 150 seats for all of our new people. So we really want to bring in as many new people as possible, and we are highly encouraging everyone that is deciding to come to the Jackson campus to be prepared to give up your seats for a new person that is just experiencing North Rock Church for the very first time. We would highly encourage it, and we highly appreciate it, you guys. We love you so much, and we know that you guys have the servants' hearts to give up those seats for that new person. So we just wanted to give you a heads up on that, because we're so excited to see how many new people we can get at our new Jackson campus. Now is the time in our service where you can make a difference in the world around you. Right in your seats with a click of a button by checking in for good. So if you go to your Facebook app and click on the upside down teardrop next to North Rock Church, you can make a difference in the month of September. And this month we're partnering with a nonprofit organization that's making a difference all over the world. And if you want some more information, you can check out this video.
Hey everyone! This is Alex Merrill with Haiti Partners coming to you from Haiti. This September, we are proud to partner with all of you to help provide a day of school to a child in Haiti. Haiti Partners' mission is to help Haitians change Haiti through education. We support schools to help children realize their potential while driving community development and lifelong learning. This month, every 10 check-ins will help provide a day of school for a child in Haiti. Remember to check in this month to help provide a great education for students in Haiti. Thank you!
For the past couple of weeks, we've been talking about the power that we have within ourselves and the power that we have as one community. And speaking of community, we have our small group semester starting on October 7th, and we highly encourage that everybody get connected to a small group, whether that's leading a small group or just getting connected to a group of people that are just like you. If you want to sign up for our small groups, you can go onto our website at www.northrock.tv/groups. Or you can go out to the lobby to the Next Steps table where someone would be happy to get you some more information. Well, friends, I hope you enjoyed the service today. My name's Michaela, and this has been North Rock News.
What would happen if we were all tuned to the same standard? each one of us focused on and praying for the same thing, working in concert with each other and God's purpose for our lives. Who could we reach? What kind of difference could we make? What kind of difference could we make in your neighborhood, on your street, doing our part as individuals, but all moving together as one?
Good morning, church. How are you doing this morning? Really? Let's try that again. Come on, man. We're a church. We're here to learn some things about Jesus. God is good. God is faithful. Amen? Yeah? Let me ask you again. Church, how you doing this morning? Okay, there we go. There we go. Hey, it's an exciting weekend, and let me tell you why. First off, the most exciting thing in the world is I get to preach my track jacket this weekend. Okay, I got to be honest with you. That's the most exciting thing. My wife is probably horrified that I have my track jacket on right now, but this is my comfort jacket. Okay, so go with me today. This is like my comfort space. When I get my Adidas track jacket on, it's like my super suit. I love it. It's awesome. Okay, all right. I'm so sorry. But the reason it's also an exciting week is because this week in Jackson, we're actually practicing our first ever service in Jackson, Michigan. So what I need you to do is, we're recording this live, and this service is sent to Jackson to be their church service today at 10:30. So what we are going to do today is we're going to practice for the very first time welcoming our church family in Jackson, Michigan. That's why I didn't want it to be like, how you doing, church? Right? We want them to hear us from Jackson and to know that we love them and that we're with them and that we're excited about what God's getting ready to do over there. So can you help me out when I say, hey, let's welcome our church family? Can you give like a big, big, big welcome to our Jackson campus? Can we do that? All right, let's try it. Here's what it would be like. Good morning, church. How you doing this morning? Yeah, all right. Hey, as we get started in the service, I want to welcome our campuses, all of those who are watching here live, but also our new family in Jackson, Michigan, a brand new church, a brand new spot. Ann Arbor, let them hear you. Let's welcome our church family this morning, all the way in Jackson. Jackson, that's pretty good. We like you a lot. That's why we did that. Okay, hey, thanks for doing that. I think it's a great way for us to celebrate what we call at this church, one church in two locations. We're one church in two locations. We've got a group of people that are meeting there, but they are part of our church family, and we love them, and we're excited about what the future is going to bring as we launch next weekend with our first live and real service with people in Jackson. So I'm excited about that. And with that being said, today we're concluding a series. Next week we're starting a brand new series called Hope in the Dark, and it's going to be kicking off. It's a 3-week series kicking off in Jackson as well as here. And I would encourage you to be inviting people to come to this series. It's based on a book that I think is fantastic, and I really believe is a game changer. If you would, please just think about inviting some friends over these next 3 weeks, starting next week for this brand new series. All right, enough of the business there. If you're new, thanks for being here. We'd love for you to fill out the Connect card. It would mean the world to us because we'd like to meet you. We kind of like that. Finishing out this series, The Power of One. Each week we've been talking about this idea that that unity is a powerful thing. Unity is a powerful thing. When God says it, when Jesus says that unity is a powerful thing, he means it. And ultimately, anything incredible that happened throughout the Bible where God showed up in a powerful way all came when there was a central focus on unity. So that's what this series has been all about. It's what are the things that we should be one on, right? Because let's face it, the world is a pretty crazy, diverse place these days. The world is a place that, everyone has different opinions on different things. That first week, I showed the Colin Kaepernick Nike commercial, and I said I could split this room right in half right now with this debate on just showing you a commercial. And that's the way that the world around us works. The world around us wants to show the division within different factions of society, but Jesus was passionate about showing where we were together as one. Even though we might have different opinions, even though we might see the world differently, we might even have different approaches to how we would approach God, Jesus thought it was so important that minutes before he was taken to be beaten and crucified, he sat down with the people that he loved the most, his disciples, and he prayed this prayer. We've been sharing this every week. He said, "My prayer is not for them alone. I pray also for those who will believe in me through their message. The people that are going to hear about me through the church, through this body of believers that are going to have this unity. My prayer is that those who will believe through their message, that all of them may be," what's that word right there on the count of three? 1, 2, 3. All of them may be one. Yeah, one. I want them all to be one. I want them all to have one mentality, one heart. Father, just as you are in me and I'm in you, may they also be in us, so that. I always love, and anytime I'm reading a passage, I underline. If I see the word "so that," I like to underline it because I feel like, I've told you this before, I'm a math nerd. I taught math for 9 years. I was a passionate math teacher. I enjoy math a lot. But "so that" to me is like the equal sign. When I see the word "so that," I see an equal sign. I see Jesus saying, if you do this, I want you to do this, so this will happen. So that if you're one, as the Father and Jesus are one, the world will believe that you've sent me. In other words, another way to say that, Jesus could have turned that around and said, if you're not one, if you can't find the ability to be unified, if you can't find the most important things and hold on to those for dear life, guess what? The world won't want anything to do with me. Because what's different about the church? What's different about you than what's going on in the world outside of this place? What makes us different is this unity and this focus on unity. And Jesus goes on as he says this prayer. He says, I have given them the glory that you gave me, God, that they may be one as we are one. I in them and you in me, so that, again, equal sign, they may be brought to complete unity. I want them completely unified. Now, I said it in the first week. It's really important. Unity doesn't mean uniformity. It doesn't mean that everybody has the same opinion about everything. It doesn't mean that everybody really agrees about everything. It just means simply that we lock arms even though we do disagree about things, because we lock arms in agreement on the things that matter most. And that's what Jesus is getting at here. He's like, I want them to be brought to complete unity despite their differences. And then he finishes his prayer by saying, then the world will know that you sent me and have loved them even as you have loved me. I said in the first week, listen, it's very, very clear through the scriptures that Jesus wants us to have one love. And it's the one love he talked about in John 17. Ultimately, he said, you only have one enemy in this world, and it's not people. You have one enemy, and it's not people. As a body of believers, we should be unified, even though we're different, even though there's times that you have people that are just relational sandpaper to you. Like, you're like, like in a conversation, I don't even know how to have a conversation with that person. For believers in Jesus, we lock arms around one love. That Jesus gave his life on the cross for us, and that we have one enemy in this life. It's not people. Our mission is people. And that's the second thing we talked about last week. We said Jesus wants us unified around love, one love. Jesus wants us unified around one lost. I shared out of the parable in Luke 15 where Jesus talks about 3 things. He was getting criticized by a group of religious people for the people he was hanging out with on a regular basis. They said, you're hanging out with these people that we see drinking and a glutton. All we ever see you doing is huddled around a table with people who are, drinking wine and eating food. He was accused of being a drunkard and a glutton. Jesus. And to those critics, he answered, listen, being one is finding one. Being one is finding one. That's what it means. We're supposed to be finding the lost out there. And he talked about the sheep, the coin, and the child. And we kind of summed last week up by saying God's purpose for your life and mine is to find his lost kids. He wants us as a church unified around that. No matter what you believe, no matter which side of the track the kid came from, Jesus wants to see every kid, every one of his children, reconciled back to God. And that brings us to this week, the closing the closing part of the series, I would say one love, one lost. And the other thing I think Jesus wants us unified around is you have one life. You have one life. That's the thing that makes us all, we find common ground there because nobody gets a second life. Last time I checked, everybody was born and everybody dies. That is a 100% guarantee in life. That's what makes us the same. And in particular, in Matthew 25, Jesus talks about this, and he says, this is something that I want you to have unity and understanding around, and that's this. You get one life. Don't waste it. I'm going to say that again because I want you to catch that today. That's big for where we're headed. You get one life. You get one opportunity. Don't waste it. In Matthew 25, it's this. I love this piece in the Gospels because it's this. The scholars would call this the Olivet Discourse, and it's basically Jesus is up on the Mount of Olives, and he's having a conversation, and he's being asked about the end of the world. He's being asked, just like when you turn on the news sometime and you think, man, the world is falling apart. It's crazy. With a group of people that were hanging out with him that day, they were like, tell us about what it's going to be like in the end. Tell me what the world's going to be like when my life is over and what happens next. Let me put a pin in that and say this. Nobody sets out in life to waste their life. Nobody does. Nobody wakes up and says, you know what? I hope that my life amounts to nothing. I hope that I'm born and I don't achieve anything. And you might know some people right now that are on a slippery slope when it comes to that kind of thinking. But let me tell you why this is built inside of you as a human being. The Bible says that God put eternity inside of every human being. And here's how I know why. Because when you were kids, guess what? You dreamed of big things. When you were kids, you dreamed of big things. You stood back and you said, I want to be a firefighter. I want to be a doctor. I want to be a police officer. I want to be a teacher. I want to be the president. I want to be, all these different things that you could say that you wanted to be. And I saw this commercial this week, and it really captured my attention because I think it's a great picture of life and how none of us intend to waste our life. But let's face it, what we realize quite quickly after having those dreams as kids is that life moves at the speed of light. And we have to pay careful attention about how we're living our lives, and that's what we're going to talk about today. We get one life. Let's not waste it. Check out this commercial.
I'm going to be a bubble master. It's my passion to be singing on a stage. Or probably by Jupiter. I want to be a teacher, a fireman, a vet. I could be the firewoman vet. Oh, wow. I am going to be a spaceship engineer. Nice.
Time goes fast.
How did I ever get to be this age?
It's like you go to sleep and you're 25, and you wake up and you're 70.
When I was thinking about being 55 years old and thinking I was going to be old and decrepit, and the next thing I knew, I was 60.
My babies are now 71 and 67.
I don't understand it when adults are so busy on their phone. All they do is just... I have to get this done. Stop talking to me. Stressed out, tired, or sad. I don't understand why adults get so stressed out. Yeah.
Plan for the future. Don't forget the now. Plan for the future. Don't forget the now. I love, to me, that commercial had me with that first kid that was like, I'm going to be a bubble master. That's awesome, right? What's a bubble master? But it's awesome, regardless, right? This commercial ends with this line. It's an investment company that basically they show that story to you to ask you the question at the end of the commercial. It says, share your story with us. Tell us what you're invested in. Share your story. Tell us what you're invested in. That's the last line of the commercial. And when I thought about that, it hit me. I'm like, that's it in a nutshell. We're talking about that when it comes down to financial investments and in a commercial, but you know as well as I do, there's a lot of truth in that commercial. That you wake up one day and those dreams of being a bubble master are like, well, I don't know. I mean, life happens and I get busy and I got to do stuff. Jesus warns us about this kind of thinking, and he talks about this in Matthew 25, but I want you to hold on to these words today. If you're following along on our website, on our message notes at www.northrock.tv, there's a message note link right there. I want you to hold on to that phrase today because we're going to get to that at the end. Go back to that last slide for me real quick. Share your story. Share your story and tell us what you're invested in. That's what I want you to think about today as we dig in. Share your story. Tell us what you're invested in. Jesus says in Matthew 25:14, here's what the end of your life is going to be like. Here's what the end of the world's going to look like for everybody. It's going to look like this. It'll be like a man going on a journey who called his servants and entrusted his wealth to them. Life is like this. It's like a man who's going on a journey and he calls his servants to him and he entrusts his wealth to them. To one he gives 5 bags of gold, to another 2 bags, and to another 1 bag. Look at this, each according to their ability. Then he went on a journey. A master calls his servants. He gives 1 5, 1 2, and 1 1. And already in the story, we're not happy. There's a little bit of let's be honest. There's a little bit of tension. Why did 1 get 5, 1 2 get 2, and why did 1 get 1? That just doesn't seem fair that God would do that. Why would the master give 5, 2, and 1? Well, it says each according to their ability. Yeah, but I deserve to have 5 and I only got 2. Or I deserve to have 5 and I only got 1. Or I only got 1 and I should at least get 2. We have that sometimes in life. It's that entitlement mentality that can keep us from really knowing or discovering what the purpose of our life is in the first place. We think, I deserve it. I should have it. But God gives it to us based on our ability. I had a pet one time. I went to Belize, Central America, and I swore to myself, when I got home, I'm like, I'm going to get a pet iguana. Okay? I saw a full-grown male iguana, and I was like, that is awesome. That's awesome. I'm going to get one of those. So I got home, and I'm like, I'm getting an iguana. I want one. Little did I know I didn't necessarily have the ability to take care of an iguana. A friend of mine, I called him, and he's like a pro. He raises exotic animals, snakes, iguanas, and everything. And I called him. I said, Greg, I want an iguana, brother. And he's like, no, you don't. And I said, yes, man, I want an iguana. I was 18 years old. My parents are like, hey, man, have at it. It'll be a good lesson either way. So I got an iguana, and I named him Pete. Pete the iguana. We built a cage in my room. Like, I went all out for this iguana. And I would come in and I thought I was going to have this cool relationship with Pete where I'd put him on my shoulder and I'd walk around and all my friends would see him at parties and be like, dude, that's a cool iguana. Well, let me tell you, I did not have that relationship with Pete. The relationship I had with Pete was this. If you've ever seen iguanas, they take their tails when they're angry or aggressive and they try to whip you with their tail. And Pete, every time I would come to the cage and I would try to open the door to feed him, I'd be like, hey, Pete, and I'd come in. Pete would see me coming and be like, poof. And I'm like, dude, chill. I'm your boy. I want to put you on my shoulder. And he's like, poof. And then he would bite my fingers and draw blood. And I'm like, gosh, trying to get Pete off. And my dad would walk in. He's like, how's it going, son? I'm like, it's going good, Dad. It's okay. Right? I can take care of this. I promise. I got it. Okay? Thanks. Right? Little did I know it was only a couple months later. I called Greg the professional back and I said, buddy, you got to take this iguana back. I can't take care of it. This thing every time I get near it, it gets vicious. And, oftentimes we get caught in the fairness doctrine in life. And the fairness doctrine works like this. Hey, I can take care of it. I deserve it. 5 bags, 2 bags, 1 bag. Why does this person have a better life, more money, more time, more resources? Why does this person have less or more? What keeps us from realizing our potential in life is the comparison. We look around and we say, this is just not fair. Some people have a lot and I don't have much. Or maybe I have much and the others don't have as much. And I just don't understand why they can't make more. But ultimately, it's this fairness doctrine that gives us a good picture of God because, church, make no mistake about it, God is not fair. I'm going to say that again because I want to make sure you hear that today. God is not fair. God is just and wise. There's a big difference between those two things. God gives us things based on our abilities, how we will handle it. How many NFL players have you heard about in your lifetime that went to the NFL at a young age and literally ended up bankrupt? after. Broke, busted, lost everything. How many people who've won the lottery? Do you know the statistics on that? It's remarkable. That they win the lottery and you would think, man, I'm set for life, and they end up wrecking their life. God gives each one of us something based on our ability. And it's not about fairness. It's about what's wise and what's just. And he's walking us through this process. Jesus continues on in his dialogue here in the story. He said, the man who had received 5 bags went, I love this word or this phrase, at once. He got his 5 bags that he was entrusted to by the master, and he went. He took off with them. He's like, really? I get these? Sweet. And he left. He was gone with them. He went at once, immediately, and he put his money to work and gained 5 more bags. That's what the first servant did. Remember, this is what the end of life is going to look like. Jesus said the servant with 5 took his 5 and went and made 5 more. Look what happened. So also the one with 2 bags of gold gained 2 more. He took what he was given and he went at once and did something with it. But look, the man who had received only 1 bag went off, dug a hole in the ground, and he hid the money. He hid it. It wasn't his, but he was scared. He took the money and was like, man, you know what? I'm not seeing that I was given this. I just need to make sure I give back what he gave me. I'm just going to go bury it in the ground. And I think that the problem that I see here, it keeps us from living our full potential in life, is what I would call the urgency dilemma. The urgency dilemma. Let me try to put this in terms of, if you have kids, you know exactly what I'm talking about, okay? Here, let me give you a little scenario. Malachi, son, I need you to go clean your room. And, what does it make you feel like as a parent when your kid looks at you and goes, okay, I'll get to it? You're like, no, come here, boy. Come here, son. Let's have a powwow. Come here. What I said was, I need you to go clean your room. I need you to go. And he's like, looking at his phone, he's like, no, Dad, I get it. I'm going to finish this little piece in Fortnite right here, and I'll go clean it. There's something inside of a parent that makes you go, well, I brought you into this world, and I will take you out. Go clean your room at once. At once. I want you to go clean the room now, not later. I want it to happen now. And I think this is something that holds us back in life from realizing the precious nature of the one life that we do have, and that's this. With God, revelation equals responsibility. Revelation equals responsibility. In other words, when the lights come on, like, oh, when I read something in Scripture and I go, oh, that's the way it's supposed to be, the second that I have revelation, guess what I have? Responsibility. And God wants me to take that revelation and go do something with it at once. At once, not later, not, hey, I'll get to it, God. But if we're honest, that's what we do, especially with these 3 things. Because everybody has these times. We all have time, we all have talents, and we all have treasure. Every single one of us. If you live in America, you have these 3 things. You have time, you have talent, and you have treasure. And immediately in your mind, I know what you're thinking. When you see the word time these days, you're like, this is what comes out of people's mouth. You're like, how was your week? I'm busy. No, I know you're busy. I know, like, life is busy. But you have time. Every human being on this planet gets the same deposit of time in their bank account every single day. You get 24 hours, 1,440 minutes. You get 86,400 seconds deposited into your bank account every day. Now, not all of us live the same amount of time. He gives some 5, some 2, and some 1. But let's face it, if you're living today, you got 86,400 seconds to figure out what to do with. Your life is important. You have time. I have time. You have a talent. I say it all the time. Everybody is a 10 at something. You are a 10 at something. You have something that you are just incredible at. You're amazing at it. God created you to be that way. He gave you the gift in the first place. He made you uniquely in that way. Are you using those talents? Are you leveraging them at once? Are you taking them and saying, I need to do something with this now? I need to figure this out because what I'm doing with my life matters. It counts. What about your treasure? What about your stuff? What about your house, your car? What about your job? What about all these different things that you have that God has given you? Are you like the servant with the 5, the 2, or the 1? The servant with the 5 and 2, they saw what they had been given as something they were entrusted with, and what did they do, church? They went with it at once. What about the one who got 1 bag? Took it and buried it in the ground. Didn't see that all those tools that I've been given, all those things that I have in life that I've acquired over this time that I've been alive are like tools in a toolbox. I'm carrying these things around to be leveraged for a greater good, because make no mistake about it, the Bible's clear. At the end of your life, it's going to look like this. It's a 2-question test. You stand before Jesus on the other side after your life here is done. The first question you're asked by God is, what did you do with my death on the cross? What'd you do with it? And if you answer, well, it was the atoning sacrifice for my sin. You paid my bill. I couldn't pay my bill. My sin was too great. I couldn't pay it. Jesus, your death on the cross paid my bill, the blood that you shed. And I received that gift. And you are the Lord of my life. Okay, good. If you answer the first question right, you get asked the second question. What'd you do with what I gave you? Jesus is standing on a mountain, remember the context, with a bunch of people going, tell me what the end of my life is going to look like. And he's like, okay, I'll tell you. It's going to look like this. 5, 2, 1. And the master, then, guess what happens? After a long time, the master of those servants returned to do what? Look, Matthew 25:19. Check this next scripture out. After a long time. How long? I don't know. None of us know. Some shorter than others, but after a long time, the master of those servants returned. And why did he return? He returned to settle accounts. He returned to say, what'd you do with what I gave you? I gave you stuff. I gave you time. I gave you talents. What did you do with those things? The man who had received 5 bags of gold brought the other 5 that he had gotten. He looked at him. He said, Master, check this out. He said, you entrusted me. That's huge, church. That's huge. You entrusted me with 5 bags of gold, and see what I've done? I've gained 5 bags more. I took what you gave me, and I went at once, and I did something with it. I made a difference with it. My life changed, and other people's lives changed as a result. His master replied, look at this. Well done, good and faithful servant. Well done. Isn't that what you want to hear on the other side? I know it's what I want to hear. Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Now, I want to pause for a second and say this. I've heard many people over the years say, and it's become a crutch phrase in church. God isn't concerned with your happiness. God is concerned with your holiness. Now, let me give you the non-church version of that. Holiness just simply means the more I look like Jesus, the more my life starts to look like Jesus' life. And I will tell you, church, today that that's God's top priority in your life and mine. It's that we would look more like Jesus. But I promise you this, make no mistake about it today, God is after your happiness. He's after your happiness. Because some of you are living a life that's a grind right now. You are grinding it out, and you have no joy and no happiness in what you're doing. But these are Jesus' words. He said, this is what the end of your life is going to look like. You're going to get to this point where I'm going to put you in charge of many things. Now look what the master says. Come here. Come here. Come and share in your master's happiness. Come here and share in this. Come here. Come here and share in this. You're not going to believe this. You're not going to believe the joy that you're going to have in life. His master, the second servant comes. The man with 2 bags of gold also came and said, Master, you entrusted me. There are those words again. You entrusted me with 2 bags of gold. See, I gained 2 more. I took it out and did something with it at once. And the master replied, well done, good and faithful servant. You did it. You did a good job with it. You've been faithful with a few things. I'll put you in charge of many things. There are those words again. Come and share in your master's happiness. Man, don't tell me God does not want you happy. I will tell you his highest priority is that you're holy. His highest priority is that we look more like Jesus every day. But why would Jesus say, I came to give you an abundant life? I came to give you a life full of joy. I'm telling you these things. These are Jesus' words. I tell you these things so that my joy will be in you and your joy will be complete. It'll all start to make sense in life when you see it this way. Go ahead and hit that next slide. God is after your happiness. Are you thriving or surviving today? Where do you find yourself right now in life? You get one life. You only get one shot at this. Where do you find yourself today? Are you thriving or surviving? I saw this picture this week, and I think it paints a wonderful picture of life. On the left-hand side, you've got this beautiful and alive landscape, these blooming trees and water and life on the left, but on the right, a desert. Are you thriving or surviving? Because remember, nobody sets out to waste their life. Right? Nobody sets out to waste their life. Go ahead and hit that next slide. Look at what happens. The man who had received one bag of gold came and he said this. He said, Master, I knew. I had this figured out. I knew that you were a hard man. In other words, you weren't generous towards me. You only gave me one. You gave him 2 and him 5. I knew you were a hard man. You harvest where you have not sown. You ask me for things where you didn't make any deposits in me. You ask me for stuff. You didn't do anything for me, though. And you gather where you have not scattered seed. Look at the different perspective with the servant with one bag. And I'll tell you, the dividing line right there was fear. That servant had one, so they had a scarcity mentality about what God had given them, their time, their talents, and their treasures. They had a scarcity mentality, like, I don't have enough. There's never enough. So they began to hoard it to themselves. They buried it in the ground. And fear is that dividing line between surviving and thriving in life. And look what Jesus said. His master replied to that servant, you wicked and lazy servant. Remember, this is what the end of your life is going to look like. You wicked and lazy servant. Anytime Jesus asks a question in the Bible, I promise you it's not for his own good. It's for our good. He said, you wicked and lazy servant. So you knew? You knew something. You knew that I harvest where I've not sown? You knew that I gather where I've not scattered seed? Question mark? You knew that? Go ahead and hit the next slide. Well, then you should have put my money on deposit with the bankers. You should have given your stuff just give it to other people who will do something with it. Give it to other people who will go make something out of it so that when I returned, I would have at least received it back with interest. Go ahead and hit the next one. So take the bag of gold from him. Take that one bag. Where's the bag that you buried? Here, give it here. Give it here. And I want you to give it to the person who has 10 bags. For whoever has will be given more. And there, the fairness doctrine kicks in. We're like, well, that's not fair. No. What Jesus is getting at here is not whoever has bags. He's getting whoever has the revelation that the bags that they were given were entrusted to them. Whoever has the right perspective on life about their time, their talents, and their treasures, whoever has that right perspective will be given more, and they will have an abundance in life. And whoever does not have that perspective, even what they have will be taken from them. I've never seen a U-Haul behind a hearse. Ever. Ever. Go ahead and hit the next slide. Nobody sets out to waste their life, church. But make no mistake about it, this is important stuff. Jesus talked about this in depth for a reason. Nobody sets out to waste their life. And that's my challenge to you today. My challenge to you is to consider your life, to share your story. Remember the commercial at the beginning. Share your story and ask yourself, what am I invested in? What am I really invested in? Where is my time? Where is my talent being invested in? Where is my treasure being invested? Is it being invested in the right places and for the right reasons? Go ahead and hit the next one. What's the one thing God's putting on your heart today to do at once? As we close out the service today, I'd love for you to just be thinking about this. I'd love for you to take 1 second and consider this question. What's the one thing that God is putting on your heart today to do at once? Because this is important stuff. You get one life, don't waste it. You get one opportunity. And I promise Jesus is never asking for us to do anything more than to take one obedient step in the right direction. But he wants us to do it at once. He wants us to do it now. He doesn't want us to be like the kid who we said, hey, go clean your room, and we're like, I'll get to it at some point. Because you don't know and I don't know what tomorrow might look like. We have no promises, and we don't necessarily know. Like Jesus said, we don't know how long it's going to be before we stand before God and we're asked those two questions at the end of our life. So we need to start thinking about this and having unity around this mentality right now. Go ahead and put up the next slide. On your, when you came in today, you'll see this card, and it says, my next step. As a church at North Rock, we are so big on you taking next steps in your faith. Why? Why do they keep bugging me? Why do they keep calling me? Every time they do a baptism, I've gotten 16 phone calls about being baptized. No, I know. We're relentless. And I love you. I'm your pastor, and I'll tell you, we're going to keep calling. We're going to keep calling. Why do they keep telling me I need to get in a small group? Why do they keep telling me I need to have a daily encounter with God? Why do they mention the YouVersion Bible app every single week? Because as a church, we take great pride in helping you grow spiritually. We take great pride in your life moving in the direction that when you stand before God one day, you know exactly what the answer to those two questions will be. What'd you do with my death on the cross? It was everything. I was nothing without it. Great. What'd you do with the stuff I gave you? What'd you do with what I gave you? Your time, your talent, your treasure. I used it and leveraged it more and more and more and more. I kept growing in my understanding. I kept leveraging my time more and more and more. I kept leveraging my talents more and more and more. And I kept leveraging my treasure more and more and more. Today, what I would love for you to do is I'd love for you to find yourself on this card. A new beginning. Some of you need to have a new beginning with Jesus today. You just need to have that moment where you go, I'm ready to give my life to Christ. I'm ready to surrender my heart to him. Some of you need to be baptized. You need to do it. And God's going to put it on your heart. I don't need to tell you about it. You just need to say, hey, is God putting it on my heart to do it? If that's what God's putting on your heart, then you need to do it at once. Some of you need to get a discipline of having a daily encounter with God. You need to download YouVersion today. And you need to subscribe to the reading plan that we do as a church today, at once, and start moving in that direction. Some of you need to get in a small group. You're like, I don't have time for that. Some of you need to find that group of people. Some of you need to discover what you're a 10 at. What am I good at, and how can I leverage it? That's what our Growth Track class is. Some of you haven't taken our Growth Track class. You need to take our Growth Track class. And if you've taken our Growth Track class, guess what's next? You need to find a team to start serving other people on, giving your life away, your times and your talents. And then once you've gotten on a team, guess what happens next? You start seeing your life in order. You start seeing the priorities in your life. And you look at your life and you look at giving not as an afterthought, but as the first thought. This is what growing spiritually looks like. You begin to think about giving not as something that you do as an afterthought, but that you do at the very beginning. You start with giving. More and more and more every single day. You think, I'm gonna make giving my first thought, not my last thought. You give first of your time, your talent, and your treasure. And then finally, what you do is you start leading. Some of you are doing every one of these things except leading. You need to go at once today and lead. You need to have the courage today to circle that box, to put a circle around that lead box. And then when you turn this card over, guess what? This is where you take responsibility, right here. Because this is what I'm asking you to do. And I believe if you're honest with yourself, this is what Jesus is asking you to do today. And you have a decision to make. I have a decision to make. Listen, what did I say earlier? Revelation equals responsibility. Once we know, once we've heard, once we start to understand, it becomes clear, and now we're responsible for what we've heard. And I don't want you to stand before God. I'm your pastor. I love you. I want you to stand before God with great confidence about those two questions. And how you do that is you circle your step on the front. You circle that with the pen that you have right there and the card that's at at your table right now, you circle your step, your next one. You circle it right now. You circle it at once. You circle it. And then on the back, you make yourself responsible for it. You put your name there, you put your information, and you say, I want to be held accountable for this because I'm ready to take a next step. I'm ready to grow because I want to get to the end of my life and know beyond a shadow of a doubt. What's the one thing God is asking you today to do at once? Will you bow your heads with me as we close out? God, thank you so much for your word. Thank you for its life to us, and thank you for the unity that we can have around your word. Today, we give you our hearts. We give you our lives. I'm asking for courage right now for every person in here. That as we pray right now in this moment, that you would just help us, God, right now. To think about that card that's in front of us, to think about our life, our time, our talent, our treasure, and to think, what is my next step in this journey? Because I don't want to be like the servant that got one and just thinks, man, I just want to bury it in the ground. I want to be like the one who got 5 or 2, who took that step at once, knowing that as I stepped in that direction, that I would receive the grateful response from the master that says, well done, good and faithful servant. You've been faithful with a little, so now I'm going to put you in charge of much. Come and receive my happiness. Are you thriving or surviving today, church? There's an abundant life waiting, I promise you. It's going to take courage to step towards it. It's going to take faith to believe that it's true. But I promise you this, as a church, every step of the way we'll be there with you. We'll lock arms with you. And I promise you, God will not fail you. Put it on our hearts today, God, what box we should circle. Give us the courage to put our name on that card. And on the way out today, give us the courage to put it in the box, the silver box on the way out the door. We love you. We thank you in Jesus' name. With heads bowed and eyes closed, as a courtesy to those around you, if you haven't received Jesus as leader and Lord of your life, the first box on that card says new beginning, and that's what today could be for you. It could be an opportunity to start again. It could be an opportunity to set the record straight, to get the pathway ahead of your life pointed in the right direction, towards the full life, the full happiness that God has intended for you in this life. The Bible's very clear. It says, listen, it's not a big religious ritual. It's really just a heartfelt conversation between you and God. And I want to lead you in that conversation right now where you're at. And it goes just like this. If that's you, pray this prayer with me right there, silently where you're at. A conversation between you and God. Nobody's looking around. It's a moment just between you and God. From your heart to His. That conversation goes like this. Jesus, I need you. I'm done doing this on my own. Every time I end up trying to do things on my own, I end up in that desert experience in life. And I don't want that anymore. I want to take a step towards your joy and the happiness that you've promised in life. So today I do that by giving you my heart. I'm sorry for my sin. But I'm thankful that you paid a price on that cross that I could never pay. You paid my debt by shedding your blood for me. So today, I receive what you did on the cross. Be leader and Lord of my life. From this day forward, I won't do everything right, but I will do everything to serve you, to take a step towards you at once in every way that I possibly can. In Christ's name, amen.
Thank you, Jason. All right, friends. Well, we just want to let you know that Next Steps here at North Rock is a huge thing for us. We always stress that, and we think that that's just the most important thing that you can do. So as part of Next Steps, if you prayed that prayer that Jason just led us in, we want to thank you and we want to congratulate you on that. That's probably the biggest decision you can make in your life, and that's going to give you the ability to go to the next step and the next step and the next step after that, and to continue growing and you continue climbing. So if you did make that commitment and you took that step, we want to ask that you just fill the card out, let us know that you committed your life to Christ. That's going to allow us to start praying for you. It's going to allow us to get information to you. It's going to allow us to help you to grow and to help show you that next step, which is baptisms and joining groups and leading and just having a fulfilled life. So thank you again for that. So we're actually going to be starting a new reading plan in our YouVersion Bible app. That reading plan is called Next Steps to Fulfilling God's Plan for Your Life. Pretty long title, but you can find that in the YouVersion Bible app. If you do have any issues downloading the app, just see someone out in the front with a name tag, someone in the lobby. We'll get you set up with that on your phone, and we'll get you starting to read with us. If you need prayer for anything at all, we do have a prayer team. If you come out to the lobby and take a left, there's some self-seating area. So if you have anything in your life that you need prayer for or any praises as well, we'll be more than happy to sit with you and go over all of that and to pray for you. Again, we just want to thank you for coming out this weekend. We hope that you have a great week. And the last thing that we want to share is we have 3 easy ways to give. At North Rock, we believe that giving should be between you and God personally. You'll notice that we don't pass a plate, so we just want that to be led by God. So we have the ways you can do that is in person with an envelope. You can drop it into the giving station in the back. You can text the mobile number there. It'll be a quick setup. It'll tell you what to do with instructions. And then lastly, you can go online at northrock.tv/give. So again, thank you everyone, and we hope that you enjoy this great weather, and we'll see you next weekend.